Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our second episode of Selfcare Sundays with Drama Therapist, continued as an on air conversation with Dr. Drama. We are going to be joined by Zahra Warner today from Jamaica, and to be specific, Kingston, Jamaica, and she is the only drama therapist there. So it's a great pleasure and honor for me to have her on board today. Hi. Zara is going to be here. Oh, these are the moments we imagined, right? In therapy school, like we're going to grow up and we're going to do this and we're going to do the work and then we're going to be able to talk about it and share it with other people. And that's the magic. And I can't believe that today at Dr. Drama, we have Zara Warner with us, joining us from Kingston, Jamaica, talking to us about drama therapy and her journey so far. So, Zara, without further ado, I just want share share who you are with everybody. Maybe start with what drama therapy is for you, a great place to start for people who are watching this conversation and maybe hearing about drama therapy for the first time in their life. So, what is your definition of drama therapy? And then just share about you, Baba.
All right. Well, my name is Zahra Danielle Warner. I am the child of Jamaican and Barbadian parents. So I have an auntie who's from Trinidad and Tobago. So I feel like I grew up in a very Caribbean household and also a very creative household. So in my house, my father was a director. My mom and my auntie were actresses, stage managers, writers. It's that kind of vibe. And so I grew up with this, not just a love for and a respect for, but almost a reverence for theater, for drama, for performance in general. To me, that was the highest. You make yourself into a performer, you've reached the closest to divinity that you can, right? And so throughout my life, that's the role that it's played for me, like this kind of like a totem, like something that I can go back to and touch and feel grounded and feel like I am myself. I've always been my greatest self, my truest self when performing. And not only that, but it created a sense of healing for me as I was growing up, right? Having difficult times as a teenager, the typical stuff, but also working through really difficult things. I wrote myself out into an understanding of my father's passing when I was 8. I had to find a way to figure out what's going on here. How do we move forward? How do we synthesize this new reality, right? As your life changes, we're familiar with this, having lost people really close to us, and are a part of our being. And how do you then move through life when all of this is thrown at you? And performance and creation was always that space for me. So when I got into undergrad, right before I was going to go to school, I just kept hearing this thing in the back of my mind: why not psychology? Psychology. And I was like, okay, what's that about? What's happening there? Okay, cool. And I did go through, I didn't do psychology as a major. I ended up doing it as a kind of somewhat minor, because I did as many psych courses as I could fit into my schedule. And all the while that I was doing this and studying theater arts and studying literature, I was just thinking to myself, this thing is powerful. This thing has the ability to not only redefine the self, but redefine whole communities, whole societies, right? And noticing the I'm having this thing with words this morning, but it was like this: when you're doing it, it feels natural because it is so inherent to our culture, right? And I say our, meaning Caribbean culture, but also those who have experienced colonialism. We have often found ourselves, redefined ourselves, or concretized our definition of ourselves through the things that we create, right? Whether it be the literature, the performance, the way that we dress, the way that we speak, because we all speak English, but we're not speaking the same kind of English because our English is defined by the experiences we've had, right? And those specific, those specific definitions. And so I was coming to understand this. And it was only in my final year of undergrad, when I happened to be studying for an exam I was taking very, very shortly, that I saw this book saying drama therapy. And I'm like, what is this? Okay. I'm gonna have to take a break and dive into this book, because this sounds like it's heading down the path that my mind has been going, because I'm like, how do I combine these things? How do I make this thing therapeutic but also intentional in that? Because we all say, oh yeah, I feel so much better after doing that, but what's the science behind that? Why does that work? Why, and what are quantifiable ways of tracking this thing? And so I started reading this thing, and I'm like, oh, but here it is. This drama therapy is the intentional scientific use of dramatic and theatrical techniques to achieve these goals, to create change. There's so many different ways of saying this, but the core thing is that we're intentionally using these tools that may feel natural to us to create a, a space in which real, personal, individual, group change can happen. And that to me is like, that's it. That's the work. It's magic. It's the closest thing to magic that I know. Within the space of 2 hours, you can see actual quantifiable change in a person or in a group of people by, you know, using these techniques. And that to me is just, that's going to win every time.
See, so what I think I don't need to even introduce about Zara in her whole bio and everything is her enamor and her enigma and her true blue passion for drama therapy. I think it was one of the first things that I, like a moth to a flame, went to when I met her. I was like, yeah, you get it. You get it. I love you. You get it. But keeping my personal biases aside and bringing back the objective voice of the interviewer here, who
Yes.
is obviously celebrating the brilliance of Zara, but also wanting to know a little bit more about her journey. So, coming back to that objectivity,
Indeed.
Zara, could you also tell me now a little bit about your work and practice in Jamaica?
Hmm.
Before we even get to what we did at the workshop and the rapid fire round that I've been having here. So yeah, I have a few questions to ask, and people feel free to drop in questions in the comments, and I will take them as and when I get a chance. All right. So Zara, Jamaica, what's it like, drama therapy back home?
Okay, so when I came back, I can't believe it's nearly 3 years now, which is blowing my mind. I don't really understand what that means. But I was coming from a really beautiful holding drama therapy community. My supervisor slash mentor at my first gig, my first job in the States, had been a really beautiful holding place for me. And I felt like I'd been going to NADTA in events, I think up to, yes, I was still the treasurer for the tri-state area
Yeah.
branch of the NADTA when I left. I was still doing rack ups after I left.
Just
And so,
for everyone's clarity, NADTA is North
right,
American Drama Therapy Association. It is the Alliance of Drama Therapists formed in United States and Canada. So that is the board you would go to if you wanted to understand drama therapy from the North American lens. So
yes,
yeah, just for those.
for that synthesis that was necessary. So yes, I'd been serving with them, I think, pretty much since I was a student, for sure, since my first year or second year. And so, I felt like I had this grounding, and I felt very confident coming back. I said, okay, I had to come back, yes, because my, what's that word? You get like an extra year after you study to practice,
Yeah.
and then you need to get home. And I was like, fine, I feel ready to go home. I want to just start,
Mm-hmm.
incorporate these things, because I see myself as a perpetual student, always learning. And especially because when you're coming into a new situation, you have absolutely no idea what you're going to find. You may have some sense of what you think is going, hi Jeline, of what you think is going to happen, but I was really coming home now to say, all right, let's see how this thing actually works. It's an experiment. We have a scientific basis to this thing. Let's do these experiments and see how it goes. And so I came home, and the first thing I heard, of course, all over the place, echoing for miles, was what is drama therapy? So up to today, that's the majority, that's the bulk of my work. If I can educate someone on what this actual concept is and how it can be, utilized, so kind, I feel like I've done part of my job. And then the next thing was, so that was the first thing. The first thing was to have those elevator pitch conversations, which I think we've been primed and prepped about in school.
Yep.
This is how you're gonna have to present this thing as concisely as you can and try to get someone to understand it. And then you're going to start to talk about how it can be applied and therefore help them maybe to see the value of it. But of course,
Yep.
in Jamaica, everybody's concerned about, um, okay, so this thing can really use here, and are you going to make any money, right? Because you've gone and spent all this money on your education. How are you actually going to apply it? And that is completely valid because, at the end of the day, we have bills to pay. But for me, the main thing was trying to translate the value not as a monetary thing, but as a nation building tool. Because we as former colonial states are still working our way out of that definition and working our way out of that and really concretizing who we are as nations, who we are moving forward in this new millennia, our millennium, and how are we defining the systems that are going to be of the utmost use to us, right? And so I'm thinking about this in the context of Jamaica that has a very turbulent past. I mean, we're known, unfortunately, for this turbulent past, but we also have so much going on in terms, of course, the inherent creativity of our people. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Jamaicans are brilliant. We go places and we create change, regardless of where it is. I know a Jamaican who's living in Alaska right now, helping the First Nations people to create new systems of architecture and building for their societies. I mean, we're all over the place doing incredible. So, and that starts from at home. That starts from this very strong foundation of identity. And for those of us who are privileged enough, and that's what we're aiming for the whole community or whole country to have, is a foundation of education and an exposure. So we,
Yeah.
from the time we're young, we are taught this, what you have here is pretty darn good, but here's also what's going on out in the world, and this is how we see things, but this is the way the rest of the world operates. So I felt very privileged leaving Jamaica and knowing that I understood what I was about, but I also have somewhat of an idea of what's going on outside. And so the thought that was always going through my head as we were studying and as I was doing my internships and so on is, okay, so how does this translate to Jamaica? Now I understand somewhat, because as I said, still learning how it works here. How would I be doing the conversions, so to speak? How does this
Yeah.
adapt, right?
Yeah.
And when I came home, the main thing that I realized was one, I was being pushed in the direction of a lot of educational settings. And I was not at all against that because, as you know, when I came in, I thought I was only going to be working with kids. I only work with kids. I just want, 8 to 12. That's my demographic. I get down with them. Those are who I was teaching before I went to grad school. So I was like, no, this is my sweet spot. And I worked with maybe one case with an 8-year-old child my whole time. I ended up falling in love with working with the elder population. I fell in love with working with the trans community. I fell in love with working with so many different people and populations that I would have never imagined. And so I came home and it was interesting to find myself being pushed back in that direction. And I had no problem with it, but it also meant that I was playing games a lot, meaning that the adaptation of these protocols had to become game playing because in the context that I was in, I wasn't necessarily called the therapist or, the drama expert. I was usually called teacher Zahra, Auntie Zahra, right? I'm going in under the context of literacy or behavioral modification or general education, right? So it was always about kind of dancing with it, playing with it, and seeing how I was going to take something like puppetry and adapt it to this situation, or mask
Mhm. Mhm.
or whatever it is, right? Yes, add it to
Yeah.
us. You're too sweet. And so it was like it was like noticing or being really getting really comfortable with what didn't fit and having to admit that okay, sometimes you're not going to get everybody to close their eyes, you're not going to get this perfect um sterile environment. I have done sessions, aka classes, outside open air in a dilapidated building with no running water, right? We know these are the realities. None of this is
But
glamorous.
I think it's very important to share this because not a lot of therapists would always get context to what kind of environments we are working with worldwide. So I'm just presuming that today we have a global audience checking in with us, which we do actually. We have people
Yeah.
from India, America, and Jamaica joining in. So let's build context at a global level, if nothing else, right now in this conversation. So go for it, Sarah.
All right. So I'm just thinking about like an example that I've gone through. So I was hired as a drama teacher in a program that was designed for students who are basically suspended or expelled from the schools that they were going to because of really heightened behavioral issues, right? So in that situation, you exactly might have to turn my hand, make fashion. They weren't necessarily hiring me as drama therapist, but I knew I had to be inculcating, integrating these skills in order to make this a worthwhile venture. So essentially, I had to say, okay, these are the skills that I'm bringing to this situation. They're like, okay, you're going to get an hour after school, not every day. I think we had it twice a week. These
Hmm.
kids are straight out of class. They're going to be hyper. They're going to be, they're all kinds of different ages from maybe as young as 5 years old up to 15, maybe 16 years old. And you are going to do what you can in that time. And of course, at the end of the semester, we want a performance because that's what drama means, right?
Right.
Means we are going to have a performance. So in this time, you're going to try to create behavioral modifications, get the kids disciplined enough to do any kind of synchronized performance, and you're going to do it within a semester's time. And at the end, we want a finished product. And these are the hours you have to operate within. You don't get any extra time or anything like that, right? So these are the givens. This is what you're coming in with. This is what you have. And I was thankfully working with one of my favorite people, Neil Waith, who is a very gifted teacher and performer. And he was really open to me adapting these protocols to my liking. So the first thing that I had them do, as you'll be familiar with me, it always comes down to breath. That's like our first thing. We get mindful right away. Within, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks, I had the kids asking me, so we're not going to do quiet time, because that's what I call it. Quiet time is how we start and end the session. We're going to sit down, we're going to listen to our breath, we're going to listen to our bodies, and we're going to go through a guided meditation. I couldn't call it that. Oh, yes, also, it's a very Christian situation. So I can't use words like yoga and meditation and so on. Okay?
Uh,
No, no. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Everything is a game, everything is an activity, and that's perfectly fine because that's how we're
wow.
going to work, right? And so
Yeah, yeah, we adapt.
words, but exactly. But I would just say, okay, so we're doing quiet time now. Okay, now we're going to move our bodies. How are you feeling today? Give me a sound and a movement. And we're all going to echo that back to the person. So our very standard drama therapy exercises, but using them in a way that was to create a sense of one, harmony and trust within the group, because a lot of these kids, they don't trust each other. They're coming from different schools, they don't know each other like that. They're known for this bad behavior, so to speak, which is really just them asking for something, right? And how do you give them what they need while allowing them to feel safe and taken care of in the setting? How are
Mm.
we going to learn how to take turns, right? How are we going to learn how to listen to each other? How are we going to learn to follow instructions in a way that's safe and sustainable? All of these, they sound basic, but I mean, it's the foundation of everything that we do from there up to now, right? If we
Yeah.
couldn't follow instructions, if we couldn't learn, if we couldn't figure out how we learn, which for me is like, it's probably what my PhD is going to be in when I get there eventually, because we don't get the luxury in learning from rote or learning by rote, which is what a lot of what we do is. You write it on the board, everybody repeat after me. This is what we do. This is how we learn. It's not. It's not how I learn. I'm a very, very kinesthetic learner and I'm on audiovisual. So if you give me a combination, if you allow me to see it, write it, touch it, feel it, experience it, that's the way it's going to get into my system. But a lot of us don't get the luxury of that. And so I consider every child special needs, because even though I've ended up learning or working with a lot of special needs populations, a lot of kids who don't have full access to their physical, they're in wheelchairs, or they're learning how to adapt to their limitations physically. I consider every child to have special needs that they require in order to achieve their full potential. So this child needs to sit on the far left of the room, and sometimes they need to go off and they need to run around the area that we are 10 times and come back, and they're going to be more able to
Yeah.
focus, right?
Yep. Yep.
And and I know that it is my training that has enabled me to find or identify those particular things, not as obstacles to achieving my goal, but as guides, right? We have to consider that each person's needs, each person's individual idiosyncrasies, as we might call them, are actually guides to how we provide them with the best care possible. And within the Jamaican context, that has become even more clear to me, even more clear to me, because yeah, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't able to think about each of these person's things as their strengths and think about how to adapt to doing that, right? Yes. Yes, performance for change. So this is another great experience that I've had working with Fabian Thomas and Ebony, my loves, who were my team members on this wonderful project that we had the opportunity to do, where we were using drama as a tool, specifically in behavioral change context. And so we were
Mhm.
going down to a new community that we'd never been to before, and we were learning the culture of the specific setting, and also how the particular kids working with who are at risk in many cases, either at risk of doing poorly in school, of not being able to move forth with their lives and get jobs or going to higher education or so on, because we worked with different life stages. um, we were able to come up with different protocols within those situations to reach them. And it was also within the context of we're going to get them through this performing arts competition and so on and so forth. But that actually ended up working to our favor, because it was like the container in which we were working. So we're like, okay, listen, guys, we're trying to achieve this goal. What do we need to achieve this goal? Apart from teamwork, what are the other things we're going to need? And that starts to become the ethos through which you operate, right? And it becomes the thing. So a lot of the kids at the end were able to say, I've seen this change in myself. I feel more able to do this thing that I'm aiming to do. A lot of my kids were going into their first set of major exams. A lot of them left me saying, I'm feeling more prepared. I'm getting good feedback from their guidance counselor saying we saw such a huge change in their behavior and their academic performance because of what they were doing over there by you. We don't know what you guys were doing, but we did see a major change, right? And so I feel really heartened by things like that, because it lets me know that it can feel very nebulous and artsy fartsy and all of that, but there's actual tangible change that is possible, and that does happen. So that's been great so far. Yeah.
Wow. I, in the context of my Indian body,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing everything that you're saying. There's so many points of resonation. I mean, we share common colonial roots. So, uh, that context of what does inclusion really mean? And do we have to spell it out, or we just be inclusion? Like, right now, coming to that idea and what it takes to build that space, because it's not, oh, an artsy fartsy quote that you talk about, uh, inclusion, and say that, oh, it's supposed to look like everybody being able to come together, collaborate, hold the space with each other. Okay, if we were to add words, but what does it mean in the ethos of being who you are and functioning in the context of who you are? And that means, more often than not, including every perspective. The perspective that thinks that drama therapy is not going to work, drama or therapy is not going to work. Anything in between is not going to work. Just function as a drama teacher and make us do things that make us have a aha moment and a good moment in my life. Feel good, just feel good. Nothing, no going deep,
Nothing fancy
and
yet. Going deep. That's like one of my favorite phrases.
no,
That
no going deep.
don't going too deep.
Uh,
Don't.
In fact, I'm going to segue this very quickly into your workshop, which was titled Mindfulness. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a brief which said that we want to talk about well being and awareness and everything. So I said, great, why not a workshop on mindfulness? No, 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 no mindfulness. No mindfulness. I said, wait, what happened? Why such a strong reaction to
Exactly.
mindfulness, the word? I said, no, no, no. Someone came and did this 1 2 hour workshop of mindfulness, and it made all of us very mindless after that. We don't want
Mm,
mindful. And literally, this is not someone who's filtering words in a therapeutic context or anything. This is someone just saying, I felt mindless after that mindful workshop. I don't want mindfulness at all. So, literally, someone has really not helped his understanding and perception of what mindfulness could look like and how therapeutic it could be. So I want to
yeah.
start by asking you, for that one person who said, no, it is about, I don't want mindfulness. I just want my body. What is mindfulness, Zara?
Mm. So, in the most basic terms, mindfulness is awareness of where you are in a particular moment. And where you are includes not just your physical surroundings, but how are you feeling? What's the most present emotion with you right now? And based
Mhm.
on the present emotion or state of being, let's just put it that way, what do you need? Right?
Mm.
And there's so many different ways of tapping into where you are right now. Literally, you can find yourself physically, because sometimes we are so disconnected, guys. Like, I'm taking this from the perspective of somebody who literally used to leave my body for months at a time. I used to just peace out. I was like, listen, this is too much. Life is a lot right now, especially when I was a teenager. Life is a lot right now. Deuces. And I would just be going autopilot. My body would just be doing what it needed to do, going to school, going to extracurriculars, doing my homework, doing my exams. But I was was spiritually not there, mentally not there. It's the truth. And I know that it's not something made up, because I know they've made up a name for, not made up, I'm sorry. There's been a name for it, which is dissociative. It's dissociative disorder. Yes, so it's like a
Yep.
body disorder. Right. And obviously I didn't have the word for it back then. I just used to say, I'm gone. I'm not here right now. And the things that used to help me to get back into my body were physical activity and creation. So whether I was singing, dancing, whatever it is, as long as I was using my personal self to create something outside of myself and bigger than myself, through which I could almost verify or validate my existence, that was one of the few ways that I was actually being able to be present. And when I was doing physical activities, so some dancing or some exercise or whatever it is, it's still one of the major ways. Once I am active, I am more alive, I am more aware. However, a lot of people may not even necessarily realize that they are disconnected from themselves. and that they're just going on autopilot, or that they're just kind of doing what needs to be done, but, or worse, they're not doing what needs to be done because they don't realize what is needed. So you could go through days realizing, oh, I don't know if I'm hungry, you know, forgotten to eat because I'm not sure if I'm hungry, or I forget to drink water because I don't feel thirsty, because I'm so gone. I'm so focused on whatever it is that I need to accomplish, or I'm avoiding everything I need to accomplish.
Yeah.
So how
I
do
mean,
you exactly?
some like a perspective I got just recently is that, when you're in a fight and flight state, the last thing you're thinking about is hunger.
Correct.
And to add to that, one thing that you spoke about in your workshop with relation to hunger was the halt theory, which I
Yes.
have, I think, remembered every day since. And could you, like, I've spoken to it about at least to 3 to 4 people every day. Do you know this theory? Do you know this idea? So could you speak to us and blow our minds with that theory, please?
Sure, for sure. So the halt theory, or halt thought, is that the main states of being that we can distill our distress down to are hunger, anger, loneliness, or tiredness. Okay. So regardless of where you are, especially in your states of distress, you will very likely be able to identify one or several of these that are bothering you in that moment. And
Yeah.
then you can more easily say, okay, this is what I need as a result. So you're hungry. Yeah, I think you know what to do about that one. Have some water first, because so often hunger is associated with, or a false cue for thirst, and we don't drink enough water in general. And the thing
Yeah.
is, we forget how much our body needs water. We just need water, guys. We need it. I don't know. Yes, I know. I'm talking to you. I know. I'm talking to you.
I'm guilty.
Listen, and I'm calling out.
Therapists aren't supposed to be perfect. We are human too. We have things that are a work in progress as well. Like
One.
remembering to take care of ourselves, drink enough water because sometimes hunger is a cue for thirst. You know. So this is why you have these conversations so that you can understand that sometimes what you pay your therapist for is something that you can do very simply at home. Just feed
Amen.
yourself.
Amen.
Yeah. Self-care.
Listen, I was just about to say we're here for self care. It's in the title. Well, mindfulness for self care is a thing. It can save you lots of money because you also not be going searching for things outside of yourself that you already have. As I said, it can be that you find yourself constantly going into states of acute distress, acute anxiety, and it could literally be that you're not eating on time. It literally could.
Yeah. Hunger,
Mhm.
anger,
And
loneliness, and tiredness.
so anger, we know this one. What are you angry about? And sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's that the person cut you off in traffic and you're not over it because it makes you think about how you are dismissed in life all of the time and nobody listens to you and nobody cares whether you're alive or dead. It could listen, listen. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Figure out what the anger is about, right? Because you
Right.
may off at your poor dog who is just doing dog things and has come and brought you a dead mouse in the morning, and this poor dog is just doing really what he or she thinks that they're supposed to be doing, and you get angry about that, but what you're really angry about is something else. So just trying to identify those things. The loneliness, we know this lives with a lot of us all of the time. What are the ways that you are connecting not just with yourself but with others? Who are you reaching out to? How are you getting those spaces of connection? Even if it's through your work, even if it's through your church, what are the ways that you are creating community for yourself so that you're not feeling isolated, even during COVID time when we are supposed to be more physically distanced
Mm.
from me? And then the tiredness, guys. The sleep. The sleep is real. The restful sleep. So Fabian Thomas has said, like, intentional sleep. Yes, this is real. This is for anyone who does not sleep. This is for me who goes through periods where I can't get, I just can't seem to calm myself enough to get to sleep before 3 in the morning. It's so crucial that we forget some people think that they don't have to sleep, and I'm so happy for you. It's not my reality. It's not. And the truth is our bodies need that time to recoup, to repair. Think about that. Think about when you tear that ligament or you break that bone. What is the first thing that your doctor says to you? Put it up, rest it, ice it, put the whatever it is, and give it that time to find and catch itself back. If you sleep 4 hours a night, you're having the amount of repair time that you actually need. And
Yes,
you know,
I do. Okay. Yes. So anybody who's an insomnia, give me a high five in the chat. And who's actually happy to know the stat, because I did go through a lot of readings that really justified that. But then again, even acknowledging the tiredness, the body could get 4 hours of sleep, but also be what mindfulness really means. Like Zara said, to be able to check in with where you are in the present moment. Your body could function totally fine every day, 7 days a week. But
yeah,
then one day you would say, I need a little more time, a little more space, a little more chance to access, sleep or food or expression or whatever it is, creativity and just energy. So that is such an ongoing process. And it's, again, a reminder, right, in our work that it's never, it never looks like an end product that today I did 100 squats, so tomorrow I don't need to do 100 squats, right? You still need to go back to it like a ritual to keep building those muscles, building those, areas that you're working on. Similarly with mental health care, I mean, any kind of mental health care, um, irrespective of whether you are in a therapy context or non-therapy context, what it does require is a sustained, constant look at it, coming back to it, seeing, acknowledging the role it's playing in your life right now. And I think what you're beautifully pointing out is the need and the urgency to look at that.
100.
And I mean, Zara, uh, I want to just like go into the breath work that you did, because this video is going to be staying here forever, and I want people to have a chance to hear your voice in that mode of hypnosis, and just go off after this chat and go to sleep, uh,
Yeah.
but not, but not really. So I'm going to give you the option of either doing the rapid fire round first with me or doing the experiential first. Which one would you like to do?
I think we should probably do the rapid first since we're already kind of teed up.
Mhm.
You know.
Okay, all right. And there have my questions have gone away from me. No,
No
it's fine.
worries.
It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. Okay.
Fair.
Uh, so Zara, there's just imagine there's this like didn't beat going, okay?
Yes.
Didn't. And
Mm,
we really need to be
mm.
fast about this. Like the first answer that comes to our body, we're just going to let it out. And we're not going to wait too much on it, okay? We're just going to be like, what? Sky, blue, red, not a thing, okay? We're going to just say the first thing that comes to our
Fair.
red, not a thing. Okay. First thing that comes to our mind in relationship, don't worry, these are not GK questions. These are really like things that feel in your body. You know what I mean? Feel, feel. Yeah.
I'm with
So
I'm with
without further ado, one word that comes to your mind when you think drama,
connection.
ethics,
Vital.
mental health,
Crucial.
mind,
Open.
body,
Free.
spontaneity,
Necessary.
creativity,
Love.
self-care,
Everything.
language,
Meh.
movement, movement.
Like
So imagination,
mm, childlikeness.
Mm. Resilience.
Strength.
Expression.
Truth.
Dr. Drama.
Love.
Okay. One thing that you came across recently that you really loved about drama therapist or a website.
Ooh. Okay, so can I speak more to a drama therapy related experience?
Yeah,
Because
sure, go for it.
this BIPOC theater, what I'm saying is I've been really enjoying working with my people of color in the drama therapy community. Um, During COVID and during the Black Lives Matter resurgence, as I'm calling it, we've been doing a lot of work together or been in community together, and I've been really enjoying that. And I think that's the thing that's staying with me most is that we have this community that is global, that
Mm.
is providing strength for practitioners as they go through the everyday experience of being a person of color in this turbulent, scary world that we're in right now. And that's something that's sitting with me very strongly right now is this need for connection and a specific call to action for our communities to be more supportive of people of color who are practicing drama therapy or who are studying drama therapy or who are just becoming part of this community in whatever way, you know. We need the love, we need the connection, we need the support, and we can be that for each other. So that's sitting very strong with me right now.
Okay. All right. The next question is, what is one unethical thing that you've come across that you can't, like, oh no, nope, shut it down.
Anybody telling somebody that they're wrong in especially in a group setting, mm, so like you shouldn't, okay,
Mm.
anything that's not hurting anybody else or themselves, obviously, right? Because everybody needs to feel as safe as possible. But if an instruction is given or a guidance is given and someone decides to take that and interpret it in their own way, I never want to hear that what that person is doing is incorrect, because that in and of itself, it just it breaks my heart, one, but two, the invalidation that comes there and the effect that you're going to have on that person for the rest of the session, possibly for the rest of their encounters in a therapeutic session ever, is it's just so potentially detrimental that I can't do it.
Amen. Yep, that is top five. My top five, definitely in my top five list. Um, so what is one drama therapy theory that you absolutely love and adore for ever and ever more?
I mean, is it lame to say role? I love role
No,
theory.
it isn't. No.
I mean, yes, apart from the fact that that is the main approach that we were trained in, being trained under Robert Landy, being, you know, the disciples, so to speak, of that approach. And we've been exposed, thank God, to so many others. And I adore DVT and I adore, yes, psychodrama isn't necessarily an approach, but, you know, I end up using it so much. Um,
Yeah.
Role theory is like, it's like a foundation that I feel like I come back to, and I feel like it can hold so much and it's so adaptable. I mean, I'm here thinking about it in the Jamaican context and how I'm coming up. I'm
Mhm.
not coming up. I'm being shown, coming up with. I'm being shown all these new roles, so to speak. So there has to be an Afro-Caribbean or a Caribbean taxonomy, right, of roles, because as I know there's an Indian, as I know there's a South Asian taxonomy of roles, because you just call these real specific things that are so culturally specific that keep coming up. The more groups you do or the more sessions you do, you're just like, oh, okay, so this is a thing. You know, like I spoke about Anansi while I was studying. It's still it's not going to stop because he's all over the place. The Jinal is
Yeah.
all over the place. You know, everybody is all over the place. So that yeah, it's ever present, ever relevant, and as you say, it's just about adapting it and expanding it to the
The
context.
context we are living in. Absolutely. What is one Instagram profile you highly recommend following? And don't say Dr. Drama because it's already been said.
Okay, because I was gonna ask two things. Does it have to be like psychology or drama therapy related?
It could be something that you love.
Okay. So I've been really enjoying animated accounts. So there's Cat's Cafe Comics, which you would love. But what I love about that one in particular is that yes, the drawings are double adorable. Yes, the stories are super cute, but there's also a lot of like self-awareness. It deals with like the saboteur. It deals with the coward. So you
Mhm.
see a lot of roles coming out there. Speaking of which, roles coming out there too, right? And people dealing with
Lovely.
outs and so on. So it's really sweet, but also really thoughtful. And of course, the creativity is like off the charts. So I believe it's Cat Cafe Comics, and I can confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that that is the correct handle. Yes,
Lovely.
and that I would recommend.
What's your most favorite self-care ritual?
Ooh,
If you can choose one.
I like a combination of things. So I always combine my stuff with breath. And the thing that I find myself kind of going to as a go-to are my stretches and my yoga poses. So,
Mhm.
I mean, a good child's pose any time of the day, get right into it. A cat cow, a downward dog, especially with some pedaling. I'm sorry I'm not using the correct names, guys. My apologies. But I do find myself like whenever I'm feeling tense or whatever, I go straight to a forward fold. That's pretty much where I start everything and then move from there. And it's in conjunction with the breath. And then something much less frou-frou. I really love a good shower, especially including scrubs. I want like a good scrubby bits on my legs. You know, I want to feel the blood rushing because it actually does. It keeps everything circulating. And so thoughts come clearer, emotions come clearer. Like I sometimes release a lot in the shower, end up crying or whatever it is that needs to happen or screaming because I'm moving it out of my body physically using the scrub or the brush. And I literally think about it like the stresses or the anxieties or the tensions pushing out through my toes and going. I think I mentioned this in our session, pushing out like toothpaste and going out through my toes, down the drain, washing away so that I can sleep or whatever the next phase of the day is. Yeah,
Lovely.
purpose.
And last, no, two more questions. What are three things that you feel like are always in your toolkit?
So definitely breath work.
Mm.
Definitely the use of the circle. I mean that is foundational for us, but I don't take it for granted because it immediately breaks down the feel of the space, the hierarchical dynamics of a space if you're especially if you're working in office or corporate settings. Once you tell everybody to push back the chairs and get in a circle, they're like, "What? But where's the president gonna be?" You know what I mean? Like all these it's like I don't care
The
because we're all
inner hierarchy of our spaces. Yeah.
precisely. So yes, breath work, circle work, and then the use of a opening and closing ritual.
Mm.
So regardless of what I will have to say those are my go-tos because regardless of what the day is gonna look like, I always have to start and end with things that are potentially healing. And just yeah, has to be done.
Lovely. And last but not the least, Zara, any message to future drama therapists who've joined us or might be listening to this conversation?
Yes, we need you come. Sorry,
More people.
exactly.
Yeah. As you can see, we've said community at least 1,000 times in a span of 50 minutes,
Yeah,
and it is a very big deal for us because we've this is something that a dance movement psychotherapist, Devika Mehta Kadam, said to me that, drama therapy is amongst all the creative art therapy modalities, like it's one modality that really pushes you to look at social aspect of being. And I think back to that beautiful line Maria said that healing can only happen in relationships, right? It doesn't happen in isolation. It doesn't happen with by yourself alone. It only finds space to become a conversation in relationship. So I just think of everything we've been together in these last few hours, and uh, can't believe that we've come so far from being the aspirants in drama therapy. Like we knew we got something, we understood something about this very intuitively, but to train ourselves was a shift in our life vision. Like it is. It is definitely the thing that's on my plate the most right now, drama therapy. And like you say, people can ask me what drama therapy is for the 10,000 million trillion time, and I don't think I will ever get tired of being able to share that this is what it means, this is what drama therapy means. And yeah, Zara, you have that same relentless spirit as I met you with, and I'm just so grateful that we've been able to have the space to talk to you. I want to quickly end on the note of what are some of the offerings that you are coming up with, or things to look out for on maybe your Instagram, whatever profiles, portals that you want to redirect people to?
Fair. So I want to be completely transparent, guys. I am not somebody who has the natural talent that Anu has for putting myself out there and present and making, a digital presentation. It's something I'm working on, working towards. Trust me, it doesn't come naturally to me at all. I'm very like, oh, this. So I am I am working very hard on putting more out there. The use of my personal, which is what we're using now, my personal Instagram page has been very, very helpful, especially during the pandemic period. I've been turning to that a lot, and it's been like my training ground. So this is still a place that you can find information about me and what I'm doing and what I'm up to, because I also am a performer. I'm also, finding different ways to express. However, Evita Expressive Arts is the branding which I'm taking forward. It's named after my grandmothers, Everil and Dita. Everil was my father's mother. She's the Warner side of me, and Dita is the Ford side of me, and they are both equally important. That's what Evita stands for. And as an approach, a as an ethos, my intention, or the intention of the company, is to adapt the drama therapy principles and approaches to various situations or various demographics. So we work with anybody from kids to older people, and we are we are, I'm speaking the we into being, because I know that there are going to be people who join me eventually, but I am mostly invested in um, offering practical, accessible tools that people can utilize in their daily lives towards greater well-being, greater health, greater functioning, either as an individual or if you're working within a group, a corporate setting. Uh, uh, you know, if you are a performing arts company and are looking to create healthier ways of operating and moving through, these are the kinds of spaces that I think, I mean, all the spaces, but I think these are the kind of spaces that I haven't tried things in yet, and I'm really raring to go and try things in. So um, that's what I would say we're moving forward. So right now, myself and my colleague, who is an art therapist, Leslie Ann Bell Davis, we have been in the process of developing workshops. So I have the set of workshops that I'm developing that are, for myself, and then that's a collaboration through us. And we are looking at offering them online. So wherever you are in the world, reach out to us, and we can get you started either on an individual or a series of workshops. So
We'll definitely be sure to share these workshop posters whenever we see them, either on Evita Expressive Arts or at Kaya Daniel Warner's Instagram page. We'll be sure to share it on Instagram's, on our Dr. Drama Therapy story and Instagram page. But if you can, please do go follow her, because she is someone who is um a a perspective I always enjoy listening and understanding, because it truly has a core of compassion, a core of empathy, and a core of humanity that is inclusion by itself. I started the workshop with the live chat with talking about what is inclusion, but I think Zara is someone who embodies that spirit of inclusion to the point that she doesn't need to say or define inclusion, but she is that spirit. And I think anything that comes from her as an offering is always generous, always kind, and a space that feels safe and something that you can only grow from, not feel, or even if you feel like I'm growing from that. So it's great. Like, go to it, because she'll make you explode and contract and find the baby pose, everything at the same time. And she'll make you find comfort and discomfort, not just as a person, but as as a drama therapist as well. So, Zara, before Instagram just like cuts me off like it did last time, yeah, it's bad now, 1 hour, and it just get off, get off. So I'm
that
going to just give a movement response to how you feel to me right now in this moment. And also wave out to everyone. Looking forward to those workshops. Yes, please stay tuned. We will definitely be putting it up on Dr. Drama, Evita Expressive Arts on Instagram, and Kaya Daniel Warner also. Till Evita is setting up, do go follow her. Until then, Zara.
Oh, bless you. And as we head out, I just want to offer a quick breathing exercise, real quick, to take you through the rest of your day. So all we're going to be doing is getting ourselves nice and planted wherever you are, in your chairs, wherever you are, and get as comfortable as possible. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and release for 8. So that's a nice big push out of air. Okay. So that is my offering for you guys. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and holding, 2, 3, 4, and releasing, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Beautiful. And when you're breathing in, I'd like you to think about what it is you need today.